This is J-Town's brother K-Town. He asked me to sub in today to review Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. I'm new to this, so let me recap the events in the first movie to start things off. The main protagonist of the film is named Billy. He sounds like a great guy. Billy had a pretty rough life. His parents were murdered in front of him when he was a young child. To make matters worse, the murderer was actually a crazy person in a Santa suit. This criminal had just robbed a local store and attempted to carjack Billy's parents' car before killing Billy's father, sexually assaulting his mother, and ultimately killing him too. Man, what a dick. Billy and his brother Ricky are sent to an orphanage at church. The head nun there is a very abusive person that believes in painful punishments as a form of discipline. She sounds like such a bitch. We see Billy deal with his PTSD from his traumatic childhood at the orphanage. He's made to sit on a man's lap who happens to be dressed as Santa. He's like, ugh, not this prick again. He ends up punching the guy before running off. Not sure what the Mother Superior was thinking with that one. Billy's only positive role model is a nun that goes by the name Sister Margaret. So, at least he had one positive role model in his life. Anyway, the film progresses to Billy's 18th birthday, where he leaves the orphanage. He gets a job as a stock boy and tries to live a normal life. He even develops a crush on one of his co-workers, and I'm like, yeah, go Billy, go. We get a glimpse into the fact that Billy still isn't over his trauma/PTSD though. When he has sexual thoughts of his co-worker, he gets flashes of what happened to his mother and father. Christmas Eve rolls around, and Billy ends up having to dress up and play as Santa. This just further pushes Billy to insanity, as it keeps reminding him about the murder of his parents. To add to his rage, Billy sees a coworker try to rape his crush, Pam. Billy ends up snapping and murders both of them before attacking the rest of the partygoers. Ho 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 no. As he learned throughout his years at the orphanage, punishment is good. He continues his rampage through the night and goes back to the orphanage and Mother Superior. Of course, Sister Margaret knew about the murders and went to warn Mother Superior. The cops were there waiting, but Billy manages to get to Mother Superior. Before he's able to exact revenge, he's shot. Of course, Billy is murdered right in front of his brother Ricky, setting up for a sequel. And might I say, the sequel is a sight to see. Okay, that's enough of that. Time to take the garbage out and finish this review properly. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 spends a lot of its runtime recapping the first at about 30 minutes of the 88-minute runtime. The new stuff, though, is where this movie shines. And by shines, I mean it's completely ridiculous. The movie focuses on Ricky, Billy's younger brother, 4 years after the events of the first film. Ricky is now in a mental hospital. He's committed there because of the murder spree he committed years prior. We're treated to scenes of Ricky's metamorphosis into a killer, sprinkled through scenes of him talking to his psychiatrist. This is all after the montages of the best-of scenes of the first movie. Flashbacks. Ricky was adopted after the events of the first film and actually had a loving family, something you would expect to be the opposite in this kind of movie. Of course, his trauma from the first movie is still unresolved, so there's that. His adoptive dad dies some years later, and this sends Ricky off the deep end. He spots a couple in the park. The boyfriend is being a bit aggressive with his girlfriend, to which Ricky says, naughty, and he kills the abusive boyfriend. We get some similarities between the two brothers here. They obviously share the same trauma/PTSD from their parents' murder, although I feel like Ricky shouldn't have any of the shared trauma since he was a baby when his parents were murdered, but I digress. Oh, what's that? He remembers that because he was there? Whatever. That makes about as much sense as Silent Night, Deadly Night being a movie that Ricky sees during his scenes in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Anyway, you can see that Ricky is going to share a similar viewpoint as his brother because of his upbringing, and due to plot convenience. Oh, and also because of the Mother Superior from the orphanage. Some may call that lazy writing, but it would make sense that the two brothers would share violent traits given their background. The only difference that I can spot between the two is Ricky gets triggered by the color red, as Ricky's psychiatrist, Henry, figures out after Ricky details his second murder. We eventually see that Ricky finds himself a romantic interest named Jennifer. He gets enraged when he ultimately finds out that she had relations with her ex, and he kills both her and the ex. He also kills a local cop, steals his gun, and goes on the funniest rampage ever. Connoisseurs of memes may recognize the following scene, as it has been posted so many times throughout the years. And that's the Garbage Day scene.
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
There's absolutely no context to this scene. He just sees a dude taking out the garbage, says the line, and shoots him. It's a classic scene, and I think it cements its cult film status due to it. Of course, this is the rampage that led Ricky to the psych ward. Fast forwarding back to present day in the film, Ricky finishes the story and we find out that he killed the doctor and the orderly. Somehow. His next goal is to go after Mother Superior. Of course, he dons a Santa costume and finds an axe to truly bring the movie back to its roots. I won't spoil whether or not Ricky gets his revenge. I gotta leave something for you. So, believe it or not, Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 was not well received. This was largely in part due to the overuse of stock footage from the first film. Actually, to be fair, I don't think one can even call it stock footage at that point. It's literally just re-showing a portion of the first movie. However, like its predecessor, Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 has also garnered a cult following due to the infamous Garbage Day scene, and Eric Freeman's campy performance. Eric played Ricky, since I didn't mention that earlier. Back to the reuse of scenes from the first film. Apparently, the producers did this with the original intent of adding Eric Freeman in a few of those scenes so they could sell that the story was completely fictitious and all in Ricky's head. They decided to make a sequel after filming some of those new scenes, though. I feel like that's an interesting concept, but I don't know if it would have worked any better in the long run. Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2 is certainly an interesting film. It drags in certain spots and camera shots linger on certain actors or set pieces as if trying to stretch the film's runtime. As if 30 minutes of footage from the first film wasn't enough. If the film wasn't showing you scenes from the first film, then it was spending a lot of time showing Ricky talking to the psychiatrist. That said, the cheesiness of Eric Freeman's acting is fantastic. It's a fun movie when it's original content. I mentioned during the last Hyp3r Halloween that there were several Night Deadly Night sequels. There was another direct sequel to this film, two more that had nothing to do with Billy or Ricky, a loose remake called Silent Night, a movie called Christmas Bloody Christmas, which started as a remake of the original, and finally, apparently a reimagining of the first film is slated for late 2025. So if you haven't seen Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2, well, maybe give it a watch and have a laugh. If you haven't seen the first film, don't worry, because this film shows you most of that movie. Now tomorrow, I'm going to take a look at the last direct sequel to this storyline, Silent Night Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out. Ricky makes a comeback to battle a girl with psychic abilities. Yeah. So tune in tomorrow for my thoughts on that.